Now that the smoke is cleared, I guess most bronies can agree that Friendship is Magic went through a wave or two in quality. However, not everyone's on board with when it happened or what caused it. By all means, there are no wrong answers, though I've been known to be pretty adamant regarding what I consider the best years of the show. Ever since finishing Season 9, I've had a good idea of how I'd rank them all from the ones I like the least to the ones I like the most. This is not a definitive list, it's all my personal opinion, so don't be afraid to share yours. And to make things easier on all of us, I'm not including Friendship is Forever. Yeah, I haven't even started the ranking and you already have license to dislike the video.
I never learned to read! What if I don't like cupcakes?
The first thing you have to know about Friendship is Magic is that, first and foremost, the reason it was made was to advertise a toy line. But for the longest time, it never affected the show in a bad way. Until Season 8. This was the year that Hasbro created a school-themed playset and mandated that the series should now center its storyline around it. There were a few scattered ideas that could have gotten interesting, but largely this was a finicky experiment that hurt the show in two big ways. It interrupted the previous season's arc and de-emphasized several promising characters, and put so much pressure on the main six that they started acting differently, more prone to getting into friendship-ruining arguments and hurting those around them. If you're just looking at the main characters, as in the characters that the show should be about, this is a pretty bad time. There aren't many important lessons learned or warm touching moments here, just a bunch of ponies being driven apart by little squabbles and making up because they just have to. However, the new characters they make here, namely the Student 6, have their worth. Maybe just compared to the main ones, anything can look amazing, but this was a team I could be happy to see on screen and interested in watching, even if they aren't given enough development overall, and the twist villain's an archetype and nothing else. If you're a fan of the show, I hope Season 8 isn't the only one you've watched.
Hey! You two are supposed to be in the zone!
My chief complaint that I had with this season when I reviewed it was that the stories have promise, but the trajectory those stories take leaves me disappointed. Whether it's a character acting up or an unfortunate circumstance, they'll find a way to make a story unpredictable, even when it doesn't need to be. A lot of these seem straightforward, but they usually don't want to be, which is a massive problem in reintroducing Starlight Glimmer as a protagonist. There's a lot at stake with making her good again, but her arc isn't handled properly. She spends as little time with Twilight's friends as possible, and we're supposed to expect after a few small apologies that she's a hero? Well, you can start to tell that the writers were no longer interested in giving the main six new things to experience. They spend a lot of time reliving former glories or meeting new ponies who take up more of the spotlight. Season 6 really feels like it just wants to write them out and hand the show over to a new cast, but can't because the show is meant to be about them and their friendship. While not bad overall, it's the victim of a changing of the guard, with different priorities and a less personal connection to the central cast.
What are you doing? Well, I'm creating a gown, darling.
Something I've had trouble with is deciding if 7 is better than 6, and coming to a conclusion on why. Ultimately, I do think it's the better season of the two, because the former's problems were toned down, but they still share a similar, slightly less colourful tone. Oh, there's good stuff to say here. I like the idea that Star Swirl had his own Elements of Harmony style team back in the day, and the stories are more willing to be entertaining than its surrounding seasons. Not to mention, they managed to clear out some of the issues with Starlight's arc and end it in a convincing way. But it's down in the bottom 3 because these seasons don't treat the main 6 like the main characters, and that's a serious problem to me, and I feel only me. While a lot of the new characters popping up are well and good, they clearly take time away from the original point of the show. Make no mistake, there are several good episodes that are just about the main 6 facing interpersonal friendship problems, but there are just as many that either don't add anything new to them, or involve a matter that's barely tangentially related to them. Season 7 had a fine selection of episodes, but lacks what I want to see most out of Friendship is Magic.
You think friendship will save you? We will always return! Nothing will ever stop!
It was a mad dash to tie up loose ends and send everyone and everything off, hectic, scattered, and not without trouble. But at the heart of it all, it was a loving tribute of everything Friendship is Magic had done. By no means amazing, this is not the end we would have gotten had Lauren Faust or her team stuck with the show all the way through. However, I was just glad it could go out with dignity, and that enough of the pieces were still there to make it stick the landing it wanted. It's hard to say goodbye, and this season knows it. It wants to give you the most emotionally charged adieu it can. Basically, Season 9 isn't the most subtle season, and that bites it in the back sometimes. But in general, I like the bigger punches it pulls. This is one of the best acted and animated seasons of the bunch. Everyone was just allowed to go to town. Why would they worry? There's no going back. The season has drawn criticism for the amount of changes it made. This is officially not the show it started out as, but I'm happy there was an effort from everyone involved to leave a dramatic impression on the fans. It really says something about the rut the show had gotten into beforehand, and the way to fix it was to break as many rules as they feasibly could.
Wow, you look just like a princess.
That's because she is a princess.
Huh? Hold on a second!
I hate to be that guy, but Twilight becoming an alicorn hurt the show in the long run. Magical Mystery Cure is a perfectly good musical episode, but it made the writers think that a season couldn't be complete if it didn't start or end with a new gimmick. But if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Unless you're season 3, in which case you'd need a big ending. This is the shortest season, spanning only 11 stories across 13 episodes, which is a shame since it was fairly ambitious looking back. This was the first season in which magical properties were foreshadowed and characters such as Rainbow Dash and Applejack moved forward in their lives. They even tried their hand at 2 separate episodes chronicling one concurrent day in 2 parties' lives. But for one reason or another, mainly time constraints, most of these ideas yielded mixed results, or created problems that would grow over the rest of the show's run. The reason this season's so short is that there's a possibility it could have ended here, and I'm glad it got a few more episodes to smooth season 3 out, and then make it look great by comparison.
You too?
Nope, I'm good.
You know what? I've warmed up to season 5 since I last saw it. If you were to ask me which one I'd watch again, this or 3, sure, this one has some episodes that are worse than anything in 3, but I still get a lot more out of 5, and it's more fulfilling to watch. My biggest problem still remains. I feel like I'm being pandered to when I'm the exact opposite of their target audience, but I can at least respect that they wanted to go in a different direction that could satiate their aging fans. I think of season 5 as a bridge season rather than the last classic one or the first modern one, because although different, it's still got a respectable quality of output and the hallmarks of the best Friendship is Magic has to offer. With the scope expanded, the main 6 still have new things to learn and new places to go. The magic touch of Ponyville fades away because of all the traveling, but there's still some really sweet stories and moments coming out of it. Perhaps the map could have functioned differently, or the story arc could have been more lighthearted, or the situations more natural. Perhaps. But I'm still happy with what they were able to successfully accomplish, more now than when it was new. It's not the death of the Golden Age. It's the farewell.
Spike has a crush on Rarity! And you are doing so well!
I think we all owe a great debt to Season 1 for getting us all together in the first place. Sure, I and many others hopped on the ride sometime later, but what season did that ride truly start? I think what's great about Season 1, and why so many of its episodes remained shining examples of how to reboot what was at the time a dead-end franchise, all has to do with charm. It's not the funniest season or the best told, but there was a lot of care put into making this a show anyone in the world could enjoy. Call these episodes bland and boring if you want, but it doesn't get much purer than this. It was a simpler time, back when just seeing a new species or getting an infestation was an exciting new frontier. Mostly for Twilight, who still got a fresh, curious view of small-town pony life and how they treat each other. That's not to say her friends are strange test subjects, more that we're learning what makes them such a compelling unit. Everything they go through means something at this point, and they each live in their own rich, playful world that you want to see more of. It's the start of something special and is still a highlight. So, there's only 2 seasons to go. And for my money, they're both really great seasons, the best you can get out of the My Little Pony franchise. Bursting with constantly amazing ideas and moments, it's hard for me to pick just one. But for my money, I'm always one for the creator's touch.
I suppose there is the rare instance when one can have too many sequins. I'll just take off my jacket. I suppose this won't do either?
Now, there are definitely things Season 4 does better than 2. It has the best story arc, the best songs, and my personal favourite episode of the whole show. While they got very carried away with the magical destiny mumbo-jumbo, that premiere is mostly exposition, this is about the closest they got to having a coherent arc across the season that wove all the main 6 together. The friendship keys that they all got just by naturally helping others out was an indicator of how friendly they had become and how vital their elements were. I could have done without Discord occasionally popping in to be a jerk, but if it helps with the end, so be it. When the characters face problems of their own, they hit hard. Like, very hard. They always hit a strong balance of pushing them into more emotional situations while still showing their good sides. I don't want to keep going on and on about testing 1, 2, 3, but it's such a classic example of a Season 4 episode, and what Friendship is Magic did best. It was the start of a couple trends that overtook the show and made it a different beast, and a couple of the stories are kinda gimmicky, but that's a small price to pay when you can still rely on it all to be clever and meaningful. Everything Season 1 did to make a beautiful, engaging new world out of My Little Pony, Season 2 did even better. This is bigger, faster, more entertaining, and more heartwarming overall, while still keeping the original spirit in mind. While 1 was more about learning simple friendship lessons like how to share or be honest, 2 really made an effort to look into how these characters behave and give them a need to improve themselves. It comes with the territory of being a follow-up that everything would be more self-aware, and the early writing team managed to pounce on that properly. But what I love the most about this season is how brilliantly the main 6 were handled. Twilight's given more to do than just observe situations. She's more active in these plots and tends to get more neurotic in the process. Similarly, Applejack takes on her previous role as the sane pony in the room, which fits her a lot more and guarantees that she can be a stronger, more responsible pony. Rarity is comfortably able to be a stuck-up drama queen now that they're making her a more useful part of the group. Fluttershy and Rainbow Dash are given more personal conflicts to overcome, and Pinkie Pie's spending the whole season testing how random she can truly be, and coming to some surprising conclusions. Really, with everything they were going through, this is when they were the most in sync with each other, and their friendship was at its most believable. That ensured this wasn't a flash in the pan, and that all of this could happen. That's how I'd rank all the seasons. I clearly have certain things that I look for in this show, but it's so big that I'm sure you have your own reasons for liking or hating certain seasons. 2 has its detractors, and 7 has its diehards, and I'd like to know if you've thought about this yourself. Again, there's no wrong way to rank this all. How will Generation 5 go? Hopefully more smoothly, but you can never tell what this franchise will bring. Goodbye for now.
Do you know you're all my very best friends?